What's going on, everybody? It is your boy Chris, man. I am here at the Work Hard, Play Harder podcast. It is Tuesday, May 7th, 2024. My name is Chris Drummond. I am a freelance sports reporter. I'm also a casino host, and I love bringing on different journalists, reporters of all different kind of genres, talking to them about their why they got involved with journalism, why they got involved with their profession, and really networking and building connections through this industry. Got a special guest that's coming on with me today. Her name is Ashley Lovelace. She is a editor-in-chief at her University of Southern University and A&M College. She is also a part of the NFL Experience-ship, which is the internship. So we're definitely going to talk to her about those two things, talk to her about some of her favorite things to cover, talk to her about some of her favorite things in general. So I'm looking forward to this. Without any further ado, I bring to you the lovely, the talented Ashley Lovelace.
Oh, okay, there we go.
Good morning. How we doing?
Good morning. How are you?
I'm doing wonderful. Doing wonderful. It's wonderful to see your face. Just want to say thank you for hopping on my podcast. I really do appreciate it. And
First, thank you for the opportunity. I appreciate it.
no question, no question about it. How has your week been going?
It's final, so I have been diligently being a student. Finals week is not for the faint of heart, so I'm pressing through.
I understand that. No question about that. I don't miss those days, not one bit. But I want to say, I want to preface this by saying to you why I wanted to bring you on, right? And I always do that with every guest that I have on here. But the reason why I wanted to bring you on is because I know you love journalism, especially sports journalism. And obviously, you are somebody that was a part of, I believe, the NFL Experience-ship that we definitely going to talk about and talk about that internship process that you went through. You're editor-in-chief. Congratulations at your school newspaper. So we're going to talk about some favorite pieces. So I love talking to different journalists because I'm a journalist. And I love covering sports. I cover 12 high schools, and I also cover a college, but I also freelance as well as a journalist as well. So anytime I get a chance to talk to somebody who shares the same passion as me, it's always a luxury. So that's why I definitely wanted to bring you on, especially someone of color too, because we just don't have a lot of journalists of color out there doing what we do. So it's really, really a privilege for me to talk to you today.
I so appreciate it. I'm excited to be here. I'm excited to get into a conversation. I'm an open book, so have at it.
Okay, so here's my first question. My first question is always the same. Why? What is your why of getting into journalism? How did you grow up? Also, did you have any role models? Was there anybody that influenced you to want to be in this career?
That's such a loaded question. Okay, so I grew up, I'm very blessed to say I grew up in an affluent town. I'm a Jersey girl,
Mm-hmm.
and I grew up in a very nice town, but there wasn't a whole lot of me in that town.
Sure.
So of course I was this, I don't know, I feel like this is so common nowadays, but I was a stereotypical kid. I was subject to bullying. I got made fun of a lot, and I found myself in a lot of areas probably earlier than I should have.
Mm-hmm.
The staple or the expectation of what people thought being Black was
Mm,
or is.
mm,
And you don't realize that as a kid growing up, because you're just being you. There's a lot of innocence there. There's a lot of obliviousness. You're aloof to a lot. But
right.
looking on it now, it's like, yeah, I was looked at for a lot of things. Like, okay, she's Black, but she's articulate. She reads, she writes, she carries herself not in the stereotypical ratchet ghetto way that they expect Black women to be.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a very happy person. I love people. Um, I like to take the time to listen more so than talk about myself. So this is a little different. I'm used to being on the other end of things where I'm interviewing, not so much being interviewed. But
Right, right.
it, growing up, I have an appreciation for how I grew up now, just seeing where I'm at school and seeing how some of the other students around me have grown up where they come from. I'm very blessed to come from where I come from. And I appreciate that so much now. I didn't back then, but I do now.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I grew up in an athletic household.
Okay.
I was a triathlete myself. Um, I played soccer, I danced, and played a little bit of softball. A little bit of softball. I ended up trading in my dance shoes for football cleats, so that was interesting. Um,
Wow.
my mother was very much against it. My father was all for it because out of my siblings, no one played football. Um, so he was like, "Oh, let her go out there and play. She wants to go out there and play, get roughed up, let her go out there and play." My mom was not having it.
Right,
Um,
right.
but they cultivated all of our love of sports. Like everybody was an athlete. My dad was a Hall of Famer at his alma mater, which is LaSalle University in baseball.
Mm-hmm.
Um, my mom was a Hall of Famer at my old high school that she also graduated from in field hockey. So
Mm-hmm.
coming from a lineage where I had a brother that was all-star basketball player, like you finally get into that space and they're like, oh, it's another Lovelace. What is she gonna do? And there was so much pressure to, oh, do this sport, do that sport, do this, do that. And I quickly found my way of making things my own. I did sports, I did theater, I did a little bit of everything just to kind of separate myself and kind of create my own lane.
Sure.
And when looking for majors, I was like, okay, well, what do I want to do? Because at first I went to school and I wanted to be an obstetrician gynecologist. Like I wanted to be OBGYN. I wanted to
Wow.
do for babies.
That is very different from what you're doing now. No
It's
question.
polar opposite, okay?
Okay.
But I quickly found out that I don't like blood, I don't like needles. So we had to make a switch. And my grandmother, God rest her soul,
Mhm.
she just had this way of kind of refocusing me. I think like a lot of grandmothers are like that. I don't know what it is about grandmoms, but they just do that.
Right.
Um, she said, Ashley, what are you good at? I was like, a bunch of stuff. And she's like, no, what are you good at? Like, what are you passionate about?
Right.
And I love talking to people. I love getting to know people. I love picking people's brains. Um, I was very much the sociologist. I wanted to know who you are, where you're from, what you do, why you do the things that you do.
Mhm.
And I could carry a conversation. And she said, okay, that's what you're good at. What do you love? And I said, well, sports is the only thing that really came up.
I
Um,
love it. I love it.
sports, the arts. And she said, okay, combine the two. Go to school for that. And I was like, well, how am I gonna do that? How am I gonna do that? And I was watching a basketball game. It was the Sixers and the Pistons. And
Mm.
at the time, Cheryl Miller was commentating at that time.
Okay.
And I was like, I could do this. I could so do this. Like I could do that. And the more I started to pay attention, I saw people like Cheryl Miller, I saw people like Pam Oliver, I saw people um even now, like I look at one of my really good friends, Ty Floyd, who's killing the game right now.
Okay.
Some of my classmates, Sydney Coulier. It's like the more I see women that look like me,
Hmm.
in places that I didn't think that we existed,
Sure.
because it's such a male dominated space.
Hmm.
I was like, okay, let's figure out what I can do. And then once realizing that sports journalism was a thing, it was okay, how do I break into this mold as a Black woman?
Right.
And I started to craft my plan, and now I'm here. So, and I love it. Like, I would not change it for anything. The first time I sat in a press box,
Mm,
it was like, oh yeah, this is home. I love this. This is
no
great.
doubt. No
I need
doubt.
to be here all the time, like going to press conferences after the games and being able to talk to the players and the coaches. And I'm a heavy hitter in terms of asking the tough questions. I don't shy away from asking the controversial question or the tough question, because
Sure.
we want to know. One, two, I feel like there's a stigma of athletes at any level. It's like, even in school, you're like, oh, the athletes are the cool people. And when you get out of school, it's like professional athletes are on this pedestal, and they're really on this pedestal for our entertainment. But how often do we actually get to know those coaches? How often do we actually get to know those
Right.
players, those sports personnel that make the things that we love to watch so much move? What's
Absolutely.
their story? Where are they from? How did they get there? Because it's only, I think, less than what, 2% of college athletes actually go professional.
Yeah. Probably less
So,
than that, to be
you know
honest.
what I mean? So it's
Mhm.
like, well, how did you get there? What's your story? How did you make it? Like, and I fell in love with storytelling. It
Mhm.
is just something that just, I don't know, it gets me excited.
No, I love that. I really do. I love that. I'll share this before I get to the next question. You talked about press conferences and press boxes. I know for me, the first time that I covered a state championship tournament, basketball wise, here in Minnesota, and I started looking at some of the people around in the room, and I'm like, I done read y'all in my newspaper. I done seen y'all on TV. Like the first time I saw that, I was like kind of a little bit starstruck, but I went up to him anyway and talked to him because I'm like, yo, this is the only time I get a chance to break bread with him. So it's
Yeah.
like I got to take my opportunities. Like when you talk about asking questions, you got to seize those opportunities for sure.
Yeah.
That's something that came to my mind when you said that because I totally understand that. I fell in love with that. I'm like, I'm in the same room with these people. I belong.
Yes.
I belong in this room.
Mhm.
And I love being in this room. And I can't wait to come back to this room multiple times. Um, and the thing you said about athletes and pedestals, that's the beautiful thing about storytelling is that we can tell different stories within a story. Like we cover games, we do that. We do previews and editorials and different kind of pieces like that. But a lot of people don't understand the really behind the scenes. A lot of people don't understand people's stories because when you talk about star players or players that get a lot of attention because of their stats and this that, I want to talk to the 13th man. I want to talk to the 12th man. I want to talk to somebody who doesn't play much. What is his story? What is her story? How did they come on the team? Let's talk to the walk on, right? The walk on that didn't get the scholarship. Let's talk about that. Those are the kind of stories that I love to talk about as well, just as much as you do, because they're interesting. Not a lot of people ask about those stories or those individuals, and they need to be told. And that's why we're journalists. We're journalists because we're pillars of information to give out to the public. So I love that. It's a great segue though, because I want to know about you going to Southern University. Um, and I want to know whether any of the schools that you had in mind that you wanted to attend, because you said you from Jersey and
I
Southern is all the way south in
it
Louisiana. So talk to me about any schools that might have been on your radar other than Southern and why you chose Southern.
First of all, go Jags.
Mm-hmm.
I am a
Mm-hmm.
proud Jag, okay? A proud Jag.
Okay. Okay.
Um, I knew I wanted to, when I made the decision to go back to school. So let's start there. I'm a non-traditional student.
Okay.
So this is my first time being back in school in about a little over a decade.
Okay.
And when I finally made the decision to go back to finish so I could really live out my passions, because I was working in corporate America, making good money, but I was miserable. I was miserable.
Wow.
And everything was like, go back to school so you could do what you want to do.
Hmm.
Go back to school so you could do what you want to do. So when I decided to come back, one, I wasn't on mommy and daddy money. So now I know I can go where I want to go, because
Right.
really the school that I went to was a bit to appease my parents. It was close. Not a bad school at all whatsoever. Um, Education wise, it's actually one of the top schools in the state of New Jersey.
Okay.
Um,
Well, what school was it?
Rowan University.
Oh, Rowan. Okay, got you.
And
Shout out Rowan.
so I just was not fulfilled.
Mm,
Um, it wasn't my demographic of people. Um, and me being somewhere that I didn't really want to be affected me academically,
sure.
mentally, emotionally, all of it. And so I took a break, worked, got comfortable working because I was making good money,
Hmm.
and got to the point where you start climbing that ladder and you start to see the ugly in people. And I was like, I'm entirely too transparent to do business the way that y'all do business. So
Hmm.
I'm going to school. Made the decision in 2020 to go back to school. Then COVID happened.
Yep.
Then I got sick.
Oh,
So I applied to a bunch of schools, but I got into Southern, and I had to rescind my offer because I had to get well. So took the year to get right, get healthy, get back, and came down to Southern in August of 2022. And I've never looked back. Um, as far as other schools that I was thinking about, FAMU, I knew I wanted to go to HBCU. So
okay.
I was looking at schools that had really great school of journalism schools, you know.
Hmm.
So FAMU was at the top of my list. Um, Howard was at the top of my list. Um, North Carolina A&T, Hampton, Clark Atlanta. Um, but all of which were way beyond my budget.
Right.
So I knew that I said, okay, when it came down to Southern, I said, okay, the department isn't as notarized, I should say, as some of the other School of Journalism schools within the HBCU community,
Sure.
but it was a it was a department that I knew I could make work for me. Because at this point, I'm a firm believer in the fact that you can really get the same education anywhere. It's really just about how you apply yourself. And I saw that Southern had the Office of Student Media, which is like, okay, so not only am I in the classroom, but I can actually do work here. Like I can get some real life application. I can kind of dust off my chops and not be rusty anymore behind a camera, or
Sure. Sure.
let me see if my pen still operates the way that it used to. Um, and also my mom has family down here, so like in the Kenner Metairie area of Louisiana. So I knew that if anything were to happen, there was somebody close enough to get to me and I could get to somebody if need be.
Sure.
So Southern just kind of made sense. It really just made sense. And I don't get me wrong, I'm also a PK. So I just feel like God has really affirmed my steps ever since coming down here. Um, I don't know any other way to describe it. Like every single day I am reminded that I made the right choice for me. Um, and this is the best decision I've made in the longest time, and I'm just loving it.
I love that. I love that. And I love your honesty, your vulnerability, talking about the sickness. I really love that. Really love and appreciate that answer. I really do. I want to ask you some favorite things.
Sure.
Okay, so you just gonna give me the 411 off the rip on some of these questions that I asked. Okay, are you with me?
Gotcha.
All right, here we go. Favorite meal you like to cook?
Favorite meal I like to cook. Oh, there's a couple. I love to cook. Cooking is my life.
Mm,
So I would say we have
mm.
this family recipe called fried barbecue chicken
Oh,
that we do. I love to make. We make our homemade barbecue sauce. There's that. Um, I make a mean lasagna,
mm.
and I make probably the best seafood mac and cheese you'll ever eat in your life.
Seafood mac and cheese.
Hmm.
Wow, I don't think I've ever had that. Okay.
Really?
Yeah, I've never tried it. Never tried it.
You don't know what you're missing out on.
But that you definitely warm my heart already. I'll tell you that. If I ever come down there to Louisiana, I'm gonna have to try a little something something now. I'm just
Got you
saying.
covered.
Okay, I appreciate that, girl. Oh my goodness, my mouth watering right now. Now I'm also a non-traditional student as well. A little bit of background before I get into my next favorite question. I went to school in 2010 after taking some years off. Then when I went to school in 2010, uh, I kind of, for lack of a better term, kind of just had some fun, kind of dicked around. And then I had a 1.5 GPA, and then I was on probation. And then it got to the point where I had a better semester, my next semester, but I was still on probation, so they revoked my financial aid. I
Mm,
had to step away from school.
yeah.
I wasn't able to get back into school until um, I would say a few years later. It was the same school. I had
Mhm.
like 52 credits, but I didn't want to throw them away because I wanted to keep those credits.
Yeah.
So when I got back into school, my mindset changed because at that point, when I got back into school, I was approaching my, well, no, not approaching. I was in my 30s, which I still am now. But the mindset was, okay, I've had my fun, I'm partied out, I did the thing, I'm cool,
Mm,
I'm focused now. Because
yeah.
when I got back into school, that's when I started to find my passion for sports journalism.
Yeah.
When I first started, I wanted to be a math teacher because I love children and
Hmm.
I love kids and I wanted to affect their lives. But
Right.
then they told me that I had to take calculus, and I was like, hell no, that ain't gonna work. So we had to pivot like you did.
I get it.
Um, right? So we had to pivot. So 2019 was the start of me going back to school, and then eventually 2 years later, in 21 is when I earned my undergrad, and now I'm working on my master's.
All
So,
right.
oh yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So I thank you so much. So I wanted to kind of give that as well, just to be transparent with you as well. So, I'm also a non-traditional student, so we have a lot of things in common here for
Yeah.
sure. The second favorite thing that I will ask you is, what is your favorite concert you've ever attended?
Oh my gosh. Okay, I was actually just talking about somebody about this yesterday.
Okay.
So my very first concert that I've ever gone to was a Brandy concert. I was
Wow.
12 years old. My father and my mom, they surprised me. This is back in, if anybody's familiar with the Jersey area, so I'm not that far from the city of Camden. There
Mm,
is a concert venue there. It used to be called the Tweeter Center. I'm showing my age a little bit. Used to be called the Tweeter Center, and it was right next to the Camden Aquarium.
mhm.
And my dad had asked me what I wanted to do for my birthday. Now, everybody's got their favorite musical artist, and when I tell you Brandy's Never Say Never album was
Classic.
on repeat, was
Hmm.
on repeat, okay?
Mhm.
So I told my dad, I was like, I just want to go to the aquarium. Like, I'm I'm a nerdy kid. I like fish. I like the water, a beach bum. Like, let's go to the aquarium.
Hmm.
I was 12. And so my dad ended up having one of his friends that he worked with, also worked part-time at the Tweeter Center. So he was able to get some tickets. And
Wow.
they were great seats. So we're walking up, and I was like, oh my God, like there's concert going on. I wonder who it is, like not knowing because I'm aloof. And I'm like, oh, we're going to the aquarium, still not realizing that
Right.
we're walking into a concert venue. Like my dad hands the guy tickets, we walk in, and I was like, huh? He's like, happy birthday. And when I tell you I
Hmm.
cried my eyes out. I was like, oh,
You
best
were
concert.
so
I
happy
was
about that.
so happy. That was probably like number one. My second favorite concert
Hmm.
was actually an NSYNC concert.
Wow. In sync. Okay. Okay.
Obsessed with NSYNC. Okay. Love them.
Hmm.
Love them.
Mm.
Yes.
That's okay. That's all right. They're a great group. Great group. A lot of great songs. Brandy's Never Say Never album definitely is a classic. No question about that. Probably one of my favorite songs is Almost Doesn't Count. But
Hmm.
I'm really not doing the album justice by naming just one song. But that song definitely is on repeat. No question about that. So, okay, I like that. I would say my favorite concert would probably be uh, Lil Wayne and Drake.
Okay.
That one was different. That one was different. It was outside. It was hot that day, but it was two artists that was just so good, so good in what they did. I had a chance to really see them, and I was singing every song, every lyric, so it was good. It was good. I love that concert. That was back when I was in Atlanta, so that was pretty good. Um, Favorite sport you like to watch on TV?
Hmm.
Favorite sport you like to attend in person? Could be the same sport.
Ugh, this is kind of hard.
Mm, okay.
Kind of hard.
I like the fact that you're thinking. I like that.
So, hmm, I don't know if I have a favorite sport necessarily that I like to watch on TV.
Hmm.
Um, I know what I don't like to watch on TV.
Which is what?
Tennis. But I will
Why?
go
Why
see
tennis?
I will go see a tennis match in person every time.
Okay. Why tennis? What's wrong with it on TV?
It puts me to sleep. Like it's like watching
Mm,
somebody play Tetris.
okay. Okay.
Like,
Yeah.
you
I can
know,
understand that. I can.
um, but in
What
person,
about golf? Does golf put you to sleep?
yeah,
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 like because
yeah.
I would say golf is a little worse than tennis. All they do is hit the ball and walk.
Golf used to be like that for me
Hmm.
until I figured out what I was looking for. So like
Mm,
that's how I felt about baseball too.
mm.
Until my dad taught me how to keep book. So now that I know how to keep book for baseball, it isn't boring to me anymore because I know what I'm looking at.
Sure.
Um,
Sure.
I think a lot of the excitement gets lost when you're in your house, and it's normally you by yourself and you're not around a group of people because I think the atmosphere adds to the enjoyment of it.
Absolutely.
But if I go in person,
Hmm.
it would be football my number one,
Okay.
baseball my number two,
Okay.
soccer my number three,
Mm.
baseball not basketball my number four.
Okay. Now, football, we talking pro or college or both?
Both. I'll go to a high school football game.
I
I'm
like
down. Look,
that.
let me tell you, I'm down. I'm a football girly. I am down to go. I will go watch a Pop Warner game and enjoy myself. Like
I
I
love it. What's your
love
favorite team? Favorite
football.
team?
Professional.
Both. Any college or professional?
My favorite professional football team is the Broncos. I'm a Denver fan.
Mm.
Um, my favorite college team, Um, would have to be Rutgers just because I'm a home girly. Gotta rep the state.
I
Um,
understand.
and I wouldn't say I have a favorite high school team from back home. I
Sure.
watched high school games for the players.
Yeah.
Um, and just seeing who's up and coming, and I have some friends that are coaching different teams, so
Okay.
they typically keep me abreast of what's going on back at home, who to look out for, who I should be seeing, who our next HBCU hopefuls might be. So yeah,
I love it. I love it. Now, obviously, Ashley, we vibing on here, but you did say you was a Denver Broncos fan. I'm a
I am.
Chargers fan. I'm a Chargers fan, so we are definitely on opposite ends on that one because we in the same division,
Ooh.
right? We in the same division, but I respect it. We at least we both hate the Raiders. How about that?
The crazy part, my mama is a Raiders fan.
Oh my gosh! God bless her.
Nobody in my house likes the same team.
God bless her heart for being a Raiders.
Nobody in my house likes the same team, so it makes it fun when football season kicks back up because everybody has their own flavors of teams that they like.
That's right. I grew up in San Diego, so cheering on LaDainian Tomlinson, which is my favorite player of all time. Going to the stadium of it was Qualcomm Stadium, and now they changed it to SDCCD, some weird ass name of stadium. But going there, I love that. So I don't hate the Broncos, but there was always a respectful dislike. Probably the same way for the Chargers and Kansas City for you. Now I definitely hate the Raiders. I can't stand the Raiders fans. They are just obnoxious. Every time they came there, they always started fights with us. But we were both in California too at that particular time. Oakland and Los Angeles before they transitioned to Las Vegas. So that's just me. But I
Raiders fans,
digress. Yeah, they're tough. They're tough to be around. There's no
they are.
question. But now that they're in Vegas, that's always a nice trip to go out there to Vegas to see the Chargers for sure.
That stadium is beautiful. Allegiant Stadium is gorgeous. I've been there. I've toured it. I'm so jealous.
I am too.
That
Very
stadium is beautiful. I mean, I the funny thing is, I got into being a Denver Broncos fan
mm-hmm.
in an odd way. I had an odd obsession with horses growing up,
Okay.
and I would always watch the games with my dad. That was like our thing. And they were the only team that had a horse logo, like the actual head of a horse.
Right.
And so I was like, that's my team. My third and fourth grade year, they won the Super Bowl back to back. I've been rocking with them ever since. I ain't never looked back. And some of the greatest Hall of Famers, in my opinion, have come from my franchise.
What else? Yeah.
Some of the greatest players, like my favorite player of all time is Champ Bailey. Of course, we love Terrell Davis, Shannon Sharp, this everybody's favorite uncle.
Jay
I,
Shay. That's
I
right.
love John Elway as a quarterback. Not so much as a team owner, but I loved him as a quarterback.
Sure.
Demarius Thomas,
Yeah. Yep. Stink, the offensive lineman, Mark Schlereth, Stink is
mhm.
what they called him. You guys had an abundance of players. Obviously,
Yes,
Shanahan being a legendary coach. Um,
yes. His
you
son
know,
isn't doing so well. However, we love Mike.
yes. His son just got to get over the hump. He's been there a few times now.
Mhm.
To the tree. He got to pull an apple or a fruit, some kind of fruit down. Though he got to do it.
You're
He's
not
been
praying
to
hard
the
enough.
tree. And for some reason, he just get there, and then all of a sudden he's running. To me, actually, it's the Jordan effect. I mean, Patrick Mahomes is the MJ of the NFL, and
Think
sometimes
so?
I do because when you have great players, it's the equivalent to basketball for me. That's my number one sport. When you have like a Patrick Ewing, a Charles Barkley, a Karl Malone, a John Stockton, a Reggie Miller, all these Hall of Famers, Clyde Drexler. I can go on. Oh, well, not Clyde Drexler because he won, but all these Hall of Famers that
Mhm,
played in the same era as a Michael Jordan that
mhm,
didn't get the tip but went to the finals and had to face him.
mhm.
That's what these great players are running into with Patrick Mahomes. He's really just dominating the quarterback thing. It doesn't matter what odds you seem to stack against him. For the majority, he's winning the majority of years that he's playing. every single year that he has played, he's went to the AFC Championship. Every single year he's played, he's went to the AFC Championship or beyond. That's incredible because there's not a lot of coaches that, not coaches, players that do that with franchises.
And he's young.
Right? He's not even in his prime, and he's doing it, right?
Yeah.
So to me, it's the MJ effect. And that's what Kyle Shanahan is going up against, right? Kyle Shanahan went to, you think about it, besides the 49ers, Shanahan went to the Super Bowl with the Falcons. But who did he play? Played the GOAT. Played Brady, who was the MJ before, in my opinion.
Brady fan.
I know it, but listen, of quarterbacks,
biggest Brady
the
fan.
argument that you would have with me is Montana. You can definitely have an argument with me for Montana as being better than Brady. But that's probably the only quarterback that I can see you having an argument with me about.
I'm not knocking his talent. I just feel like, how do I say this without sounding so rude? Brady's overrated to me. And I say this because I feel like
that's a hot take.
We give him entirely too much credit when you capitalize off the backs of a stacked team and a stacked O-line and a stacked defensive line that helps you do what you do. As a quarterback, yes, you need to have a sound mind. You need to have a sound, keen eye on the field, almost like a coach on the field, which I get, and he has it, right?
Okay.
But when you have an O-line that gives you time in the pocket to do what you do,
right,
where you don't have to scramble as much, not taking a whole lot of hits, your body's not really banged up, I expect you to be in the league as long as Tom Brady was. He was preserved. Well, it wasn't like he was a Brett Favre. It wasn't like he was a Peyton Manning. You know, I measure greatness based off of how you can take a squad that isn't built around you and still be great.
So here's where I have a little bit of pushback for that before I get into the next paper. Okay. Now, you're absolutely right. Brady has some stacked teams. No question about it. Great coaching, great offensive line, a terrific defense. Now, he did have a stretch of 10 years where he did not win a Super Bowl. And his teams were still stacked at that time. Right. That 07 team.
Playoff.
Yeah, he did. But he didn't win no. But the reason why he's the GOAT is not because of playoffs, because of the rings he won, the Super Bowl.
Understandable.
The Super Bowl. Like, because Peyton Manning, if that was the case, you could put Peyton Manning up there. He had better regular season stats than Brady of his 17 years and Brady's 20 years. Peyton Manning was better.
Brady's never had a losing season, is what I'm saying.
He's never had a losing. Well, his last season he ever played. That's when he went 8-9. But other than that, he didn't have a losing season. You're absolutely right. But when you say overrated, I can take other quarterbacks and you can say, okay, other quarterbacks may be better, but the overrated, I'm like, ooh, that's a strong one.
I've always felt like the quarterback is a glorified
I'll give you that. Yeah.
And like I said, not knocking the man's talent. He's great at what he does. He is a great quarterback. I will never take that away from him.
No
However,
doubt.
You are nothing without the people that sit in front of you.
I feel it. Okay.
Absolutely nothing. And I feel like, and I don't know, maybe it's just me, but I just feel like if we're going to give credit, let's give credit where credit is due. Like, it takes a lot to play in a thankless position. You will never see an offensive lineman receive an MVP. You will never see an offensive lineman receive any type of accolade other than the pat on the back from their QB.
Right.
They got the hardest job.
Right.
They got the hardest job.
I can't argue that. You're right.
I feel so strongly about that. I just think that, yes, you need a great quarterback because the quarterback has the eye of the offense of where it should go and how you eventually can end up scoring. But like I said, they are nothing without the people in front of them.
I
So
feel that. I do. I feel
uh,
that. And listen, I'm going to be doing an NFL special podcast where we're going to be breaking down the 8 divisions, talking about matchups, talking about MVPs, predictions, and all that. I definitely would love to have you on that one because I think we would have some great conversations, talk about this upcoming season. Obviously, when the schedule drops and everything goes like that, which I believe the schedule will probably drop this week.
mhm,
Probably no later than next week, but they typically do it the second week of May. We definitely need to have you back on and break some bread on that for sure.
absolutely.
I want to ask this last favorite question because I love asking it, and that is, what is your favorite place you've ever traveled to?
Oh, actually, no, this is recent. I just traveled out of the country as a part of one of my cohorts at school. We went to Amsterdam,
Wow.
and it was beautiful. Like Amsterdam, everybody's like, "Oh, how is it? Did you love it?" Amsterdam, I was telling everybody, like I was Alice and I was in Wonderland. It literally looks like storybook land. If you
Hmm.
could take yourself out and put yourself in a fairy tale book with princesses and princes and kings and queens and knights and all of that stuff, it looks like that. The buildings, the towns, the cobblestones, um the rivers that run through the city of Amsterdam. Um you can get on boats and you can take a boat tour around the city because it literally water runs through the entire city.
Hmm.
So just like you would get like on a gondola or a ferry or anything like that, it's the same thing. Um, but it was just beautiful and the people were nice, the food was great. I enjoyed myself. I enjoyed myself more than I thought I would actually.
Mm.
I was like, what's in Amsterdam? Are there black people in Amsterdam? Um, which there aren't that many. However, we did
Right,
find
right.
there was we ended up actually going to this. It was a fried chicken spot restaurant in Amsterdam, and it was ran
Okay.
by somebody from New York. I was like, okay, Northeast. I was like, how
Mm.
did you get to Amsterdam? That was crazy.
Right.
We found a Jamaican spot as well, like a Caribbean food place,
Ooh, okay. You with me
and
there?
the food was so good. The food was so good.
I'm a foodie. I'm a foodie now.
The
You
food
know, I love me some food.
The food was so good. Now, I will say, and no shade to the Dutch, but the native food is not my favorite.
Mhm.
Um, they don't like seasonings.
Oh, that's not
Um,
good. Okay, nah,
they
I
they
gotta have
don't
some
like
seasoning.
they don't like seasonings. Yeah, and I'm gonna leave it at that. They just don't like.
I'm a type of person that I can't eat my stuff dry. It got to be a little bit of spice on it, little bit of something something on it. You know what I mean? You
Yeah,
ain't
so
got to drench it. You don't have to drench seasoning, but you got to put something on it. You know what I mean?
yes.
Okay, I'm with that. I'm with that. Now you talked about your NFL experience cohort. I
Yes.
want to. I want to definitely dive into that because I've never even heard of it before I even talked to you prior. So tell me, how does one get involved with that? Tell me what is all the things that comes with that experience, and what are you doing now with it?
Okay. So the NFL experience ship is a crash course essentially for HBCU students to get a inside look at sports business from the football eye from the best in the business.
Okay.
And it's a, I want to say a 10 or 12-week program that we take virtual classes and we're given a task at the beginning of the program. We're put in
Mm,
groups. And at the end of it, we have to present a solution to the problem that we're given in front of NFL executives from various departments.
okay.
Winner gets a big prize. And so the greatest thing about the program is, in my eyes, is really the exposure. Um Having your name be put in rooms that you've never entered in yet before you get there is great. and the ability to network and forge those relationships, because you never know who knows who.
Without question.
And this opportunity that I was in was my fourth time doing something with the NFL. And this is just since me coming back to school. So within the past 2 years or so, I've been working. Okay.
I see that. Okay. I ain't mad at it. Okay.
So I mean, the end goal is to eventually, that's the dream, is to be a sideline reporter for the NFL. I would love to be a club reporter one day. But being able to network with the people that work in NFL media has been great. The program was eye-opening. And the best part about it is your initial circle of networking is your other fellow HBCU students. So this round, there was 32 of us from all different HBCUs across the country. And you don't realize how small the sports industry is until you are in a marginalized group like that, because not only was I part of those 32, but I had students that were in my NFL experience cohort that I was in other cohorts with. So we're
Right.
seeing each other again, and we're crossing other paths again. So you have even more opportunities to deepen those relationships, because that could be my future coworker one day. That could be my future boss one day. That could be, you never know.
Yep.
So it was great. I would want to say I lucked up on it, honestly.
Mm.
Um, I went back in 2022, December of 2022.
Mm-hmm.
I applied to do the HBCU NFL Careers and Football Forum. And I had sent out my completion of my application to a couple of my friends. And I was like, look, I need y'all to pray on this for me. Pray real hard, because I want this. And
Okay.
that was just a 2-day experience in Atlanta where we got to kind of sit down in a control panel discussion with people that worked with the NFL in all different spaces, and they all look like us
Mm-hmm.
in places that I didn't even know existed. Like, we were talking to medical doctors from the NFL, HR personnel. We were talking
Wow.
to presidents, because there's only 4 Black presidents within the NFL. So Damani Leach was there, so we got to see him, and we got
Okay.
to see, I forget what his name is, but he's the president of the Baltimore Ravens. Got to see him too, talk to him.
Is that Ozzie Newsome?
No.
No.
Mm-mm.
Okay. Okay. I might be off. My apologies. Okay. Okay.
No. Um, and we got to talk. It was just like everywhere, in the finance department, accounting, media. There were so many Black faces, and there were so many Black women. Like, I was
That's
like, this is
beautiful.
great.
That's
So
beautiful.
I had applied, and I said, all right, y'all, pray on this for me and pray hard. I need y'all talking to Jesus every night about this. And so I sent this to one of my friends, and he's like, all right, I'm on it. Right. So I said, all right, cool. He calls me in, like, I want to say 10 minutes or
Mm-hmm.
so. Gets on the phone. He's like, hey, I was like, what's going on? Tell me you love me. I love you. Why are you being weird? What's going on? And he sends me a profile of somebody. And I was like, who is this? Oh, this is my friend so and so. We grew up together. He not only works for the NFL, but he's over this program.
Okay.
All you got to do, he's like, finish your application. You're in it. End of story. And
Wow.
so
Okay.
I was like, you didn't have to do that. He's like, I know what I didn't have to do. But he's like, I've known you for years. I've known you over a decade. I know what
Sure.
your dreams are. I know how hard you work. I know the things that you've been through. He's like, it's your time. And he's like, everybody needs to know somebody. Fortunately for you, I'm connected to somebody that's there. There's nothing wrong with using your
Connections.
connections,
Yep.
because your network is your net worth. And that was my first real application of seeing that be put into work for me,
Mhm.
not because I asked somebody to do it, but just because you consistently show up for people and you consistently make sure that everybody else around you is straight. My support system has made sure that they will do anything in their power to make sure that I'm good. If it's something that they can help with, somebody that they know that they could put me into contact with, even if it's just to have a conversation for 15 minutes. And I'm so grateful for the fact that people see me and they want to pour into me. And
Sure.
so I was able to attend that. And because of the connections I made there, I ended up gaining a mentor within the NFL and who also went to Southern. Once he found out I went to Southern, he was like, "That's it, you're mine. I'm stealing you." I said, "Please do.
Mm,
Thank you.
mm.
Please do.
Okay.
Thank you." That HBCU connection is like no other. We really do look out for our own, and I love that. I ended up going to the following year, the HBCU Careers and Football Forum. Last summer, I did the NFL Media Technical Operations Boot Camp, which was something that my mentor literally just sent the application. He said, "Can you get out into California for 2 weeks?" Yep, I can do that. I can do that.
Mm.
And he said, "Okay, apply." And at that point, he's like, "I could put my 2 cents in, but I can't guarantee you a spot." I said, "No worries.
Right.
Just make sure I get an interview. You
I
put me in
love
an
it.
interview, I got it.
I
Not a
love
problem."
it.
So I was able to have that experience, which was great because I'm used to being in front of the camera talking to people. It was nice to see how they make sports TV go. We got to work on Total Access, the show.
Mm.
I got to sit down and be a part of the Juneteenth episode for Total Access, the podcast. Um, so many things. I learned how to be a technical director. I learned how to operate cameras during a live show. It was so much fun. I was so sad after those. It was only 2 weeks. Then I felt like I was there for months and I didn't want to leave. And it's in those moments where I'm like, okay, Ashley, you're moving in the right direction. And it feels good. It's not like you get somewhere and it feels uncomfortable and you're like, why did I do this to myself?
Right. Right.
Um, it felt good and I felt like I was at home. And so each time I just make sure that I do my best to leave a lasting impression that when I come back, because I'm coming back, I'm gonna find a way to get back,
I
that
love it.
people remember me. So when I did the NFL experience and our live experience was at the end where we had to do our presentations in front of the executives, everybody that I worked with over the summer in that office, when I got back, they were like, "Oh, Lovelace is back in the building." And I'm like,
Right.
and it was just nice to see people that were genuinely happy to see you, wanted to know about how school was going, how you were doing. It really is more about the connection than the actual occupation and the family atmosphere that I was around. I was like, I need to be here. This is where I need to
Mm.
be. Um,
Okay.
and I love it. And every cohort that I've been a part of, I've been fortunate enough to have that type of environment. So I don't take that lightly at all. And um I will say this to any college student that is applying for a cohort, be intentional about the things that you apply to. Because I see a lot of students that just apply to things just to apply to them.
Sure.
It might not be necessarily an area for them or a place of interest, and then they get there and they tell other people, "Oh, well, it wasn't a good cohort or it wasn't a good experience because I didn't really get that much out of it." Don't knock other people's places because you don't word of mouth can deter somebody so quickly.
Did
And
good.
and just because you did not put 150% into the cohort, so you didn't receive 150% back,
Right.
doesn't mean you deter somebody else from potentially applying to something that could change their life. Um,
1000%. I agree. No question.
yeah, the intentionality when applying to these things, and the NFL isn't the only sports cohort I've been a part of. Um, I am a huge advocate for the Dream Foundation, which is fairly new. Um, it's 3 years old, and it's based out of Position Sports in Arizona, and
Mm,
it is another sports business cohort, and they partner with a few NHL teams, a couple MLB teams, some NFL teams as well. But when I tell you the visionary in Dr. Mark Clifford is great, that was the first cohort I ever had coming to Southern. And
wow.
we partnered with my team partnered with the Vegas Golden Knights. Let me tell you, I grew up in Jersey. I'm very prevalent to hockey. By no means was I a hockey girl. I went to
Right.
hockey games because my high school had a hockey team. So, you go to support your friends and things, but like,
Sure. Sure.
I didn't know what I was looking at. I couldn't tell you the first thing about a hockey rule before going to go talk about the Vegas Golden Knights because I had to do my research. I wasn't about to walk up in a space
And right.
and
Not sound like you don't know what you're talking about. I feel it. I
was
feel it.
not gonna be me. So going there, and when I tell you they put you in rooms with people that nobody sees, we had a good hour sit down with the CEO of the Golden Knights, Kerry Bubolz, and he broke down to us what his job is, what he does what he does, how he manages it, the teams that work underneath of him that he manages. And the Golden Knights is a franchise. Like they have the Silver Knights. They own a indoor arena football team.
Yep. I
Um,
believe the Aviators, if I'm not mistaken.
well, that's the baseball team.
Is that the baseball team? Okay, got you, got you. Okay, yep, you're
Um,
right. You're
but
right.
they
Yeah.
have so much going on. I think they're picking up a minor league soccer team as well. They have a
Yeah,
G League basketball team.
they do.
Like the franchise is ridiculous.
They
Um,
booming right now. They booming, no doubt.
they are so booming. I mean, Vegas is the place to be, honestly, right now for sports. But I just, I'm so grateful for that experience because it put me in rooms that with people that I never thought that I'd ever have the ability to be in rooms with. And
Sure.
that sense of belonging that you talked about earlier, they're like, they validated us. We, as students, it was 12 of us that were there, and we sat in on their uh third or fourth quarterly meeting. And Carrie didn't have to, but he said, we have some seniors over here, some grad students over here that are looking for jobs. When your teams are hiring, this needs to be the first place that you look because these are some of the brightest minds in the country. And just from that alone, after the meeting, when we went up to the mixer afterwards, people were like, what's your name? Where are you from? What do you do? When do you graduate? What are you looking to do? And to this day, I'm getting emails, Ashley, when do you graduate? There's this job open, there's that job open, there's this job open. And
Absolutely.
you just never know who you're going to meet and how they're going to affect your life. So I'm super grateful to Dr. Clifford and Tymir for even seeing something in me whose resume essentially was nothing but H&M and Amazon. Okay.
Mm,
Um so they took a chance on me, and I don't take that lightly at all. Um, but being able to segue, that cohort has afforded me other opportunities and given me sports business experience so I can apply for other things like the NFL experience,
right.
Black Sports Business Academy, so many different opportunities for HBCU students right now that want to get into sports business in all different facets. And I'm just grateful. It's been a hell of a ride.
I love that. I love that. And just to reiterate some of the things that you said before we move on, uh, HBCU Legacy Bowl is what you were talking about. That happens every year in February. They normally switch off from Atlanta to New Orleans. I don't know those two places for sure. They've had them. I definitely wanted to go to it this past year, but I was like, oh man, I got some stuff on the horizon because I do plan on going to the NABJ, which is the National Association of Black Journalists that happens in Chicago this year. So I definitely plan on going to that. I also plan on going to Vegas. There's an NBA summer career fair going on in Vegas, so I want to go to that. And I went to the NFL career conference this past year in Indianapolis.
Okay.
So I plan on going back there next year, for sure. I don't know if you went there or you was there for the NFL career conference, but if you're at any of these places, please let me know. We definitely got to link up for sure. The Legacy Bowl is something I do plan on going to next year. I don't know where they'll have it in 25, but I
It's gonna
definitely
be
will be.
here. It's gonna be here in New Orleans.
Is it? Okay. So I would definitely be there. And there's no question about it, 100%. So when I touch down, I definitely will hit you up for sure.
Thank you.
Um, I want to talk to you about mental health.
Okay.
And the reason why I want to talk to you about mental health is because journalists like us have very weird hours.
Uh,
Uh, it's not business like, right? It's not a 9 to 5, 10 to 6, 8 to 4. Sometimes we work late into the night. Sometimes we work very early in the morning, depending on the event, depending on what we're covering, depending on the story and the individual that we're talking to. But with this, because it's not a normal routine, sometimes, it can be lonely. You can be by yourself, friends. It's hard to have that time management, right? You're also in school taking classes. So I ask you, how do you deal with your mental health? As far as what are things to do that you kind of relieve the stress a little bit? How do you balance that school life and being a journalist, covering games, writing stories, and over an entire publication of a student ran newspaper? How do you do
um, God,
that?
God, I
Mm,
can't. I cannot take credit for any of it other than the fact that I'm the one in the physical making the motions. Um, I do a lot. And I just started really going back over my resume because I had to update my resume and it was like, oh gosh, Ashley, you've done a lot in a very short amount of time.
mhm.
And
It
there's a
sounds like
there was a lot of highs,
right.
but there's also equally a lot of lows.
Okay.
And we don't necessarily talk about the lows because I think it just comes from not wanting to dwell in a low place,
Sure.
um, especially when you are away from your core of people and you want to remain sane because the people that you feel safest most to be vulnerable around are nowhere near you.
Right.
So the first organization actually that I joined here at Southern was the Southern University Gospel Choir. And initially, I wasn't going to join it because I'm not the singer. That's my baby sister. I'm the dancer. She's the singer. Uh,
Mm.
I can hold an alto note if you need me to, but it's not. Don't hand me a mic. Say Ashley sing a solo. I'm not doing it. Can't do
That
it.
ain't you. That ain't you.
I
Okay.
mean,
I feel it.
so
I feel
but I
it.
will do wop pop pop in the background if you need somebody to hold you down. I got you. So,
Okay. I love it.
um, that organization alone has helped maintain, or I should say stabilize my sanity. Um, when I have rough days, when I am run down, when professors get on your nerves, when the assignments start to pile up,
Mm-hmm.
um, I look forward to my Tuesday nights because that's when we practice, because that is the only place on my campus right now, outside of my home, that when I walk in, there's no expectation of me. All I have to do is show up
Right.
and participate. And you participate at whatever capacity you have to give. And I think that's the most important thing, is finding a safe space where nothing is asked of you. When you have a lot of different leadership positions and you're doing a lot of jobs yourself, from journaling and being a journalist and writing and talking to people, and you're trying to be an active listener and you're taking in everything that everybody else is giving you, you're downloading all of these things, you can kind of get lost in all of it. And that's because as a journalist, we have a duty to the public, and that's where our duty is first, is to everybody else, not
Sure.
ourselves. So with it being such a selfless space, you have to find something that combats that, because if not, you can get swallowed up in all of it. And especially because not everybody's going to like what you say or write about or talk about. Not everybody's going to appreciate your opinion. Not everybody appreciates the art of journalism.
Sure.
And I've definitely been caught up in a few different stories that has ruffled some feathers at my school. However, once again, the duty is to the public. I'm gonna put the truth out there, whether if you want to or not. As much as I love Southern or not, Southern is not perfect. People are not perfect.
Right.
But when things are on paper, it makes people accountable.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm.
that's one of the biggest aspects I love about it. And that's what keeps me grounded. That's what keeps me focused, is when you put truth out there, you are not just holding yourself accountable, but you're holding the public accountable. And that is a big undertaking. And I keep that at my core. I keep that at my forefront, and I pray a lot, because backlash comes with that. And if you don't have thick skin to do what we do, you
Right.
might think about doing something else. Because you need to have some thick skin, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
You get a lot of no's, a lot of doors slammed in your face. People don't want to talk to you. People want to give you the runaround, a whole bunch of stuff. But I look at it as everything that I do in its entirety is molding me and it's shaping me. And that's where I like to shift my thinking. I don't like to sit in low places. I acknowledge them, because you have to acknowledge them to get over them. But I
Sure.
do like to stay there. So I'm grateful that I have the choir that is my outlet, um, while I am away from home, for sure.
I love that. I do. And yes, when you do put things on paper, it does make people accountable. This is an industry. It's an industry where you got to have some thick skin, no question about it. Mental health is super important. But at the same time, it's one of those things where, like you said, every story that you write is not going to be a positive story. It's just not. Some things you cover, some truths that you have to tell are tough truths. And I like to correlate it to life. Me, when I do journalism, when you
Yeah.
deal with people in life, you're gonna have to have sometimes some tough conversations. It's just regardless whether or not it makes you nervous, regardless of whether or not it makes you uncomfortable. I love to thrive in uncomfortable situations, because that to me depicts people's character.
Mhm.
It really shows in your character when you're able to have those tough conversations, because to me, you have to have those in different situations, but you have to have them with family, with people that you love the most, people that you probably don't even know sometimes, but you still have to have them, right? Any kind of job space that you have, you still got to have those tough conversations. So I love that. And you going to the choir and being able to, sing, participate, be around loved ones to kind of escape is a beautiful thing. For me, I like to write poetry. I like to work out. I like to do this. This is what I love to do. Put people on my platform and talk to them, get to know them a little bit, vibe with them, because you never know what connection you meet. that allows you to further your career, but not only your career, but to be able to help them at some point. They might call you for help. So to build that network connection and to build that and support each other in what you're doing is something I love to do. But with that being said, we got to transition to this or that. And the reason why we transition to this or that, because this is probably the funnest thing of the episode, I should say, that I do with all my guests. I throw two things out at you, and you decide which one you want, this or that. Are you ready?
Mm-hmm.
All right, here we go. Popeyes or KFC?
Popeyes.
Girl, we off to a great start right now. I like that. Okay, here we go. All right. Chicken wing flavors, barbecue or lemon pepper?
Lemon pepper.
Okay. Do you like it wet or dry?
It doesn't matter to me.
I like that. Okay. Bone in or boneless?
Bone in for sure.
Okay, so you like to get messy. Is that what you're saying? Okay, I like that. I like that. These next three questions have to do with artists you would rather see in concert. Okay. Would you rather see Mary J. Blige or would you rather see Monica in concert?
Oh, that's so hard. Oh my
Mhm.
God, that's so hard.
I know it is. That's why I asked you.
Oh no. Probably Mary.
Okay.
Probably Mary, because I feel like Mary got some really good dance bops. So yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, here we go. Which artist would you rather see in concert? Would you rather see Joe or would you rather see uh Jaheim?
Joe.
Okay. Okay. I like that. I like that. Here we go. Which artist would you rather see in person? Would you rather see Boys to Men or New Edition?
Back in their prime or now?
I knew you was gonna ask me that. I knew you was gonna ask me that damn question. Okay. Back in their prime.
Back in their prime? New edition.
Okay. All right. That's good.
Now, Boys to Men.
Yeah. You know, Bobby, it's tough for Bobby to get out there and sing. I get it. And Bobby's one of the pillars of that group, no question. Okay. Okay, here we go. Which sport would you rather play? Badminton or bowling?
Bowling.
Are you a good bowler?
Absolutely.
We might have to test that. We might have to test that. We might have to test that now. You said that with confidence now. I
Yes.
like that. We might have to test that. Okay. I want
I
with you
got
on
my
that.
own bowling ball shoes and everything. Just let me
Okay.
know.
Okay, you ain't messing around then. I ain't never met nobody with their own bowling shoes yet. I ain't met nobody yet with
My
that.
whole
Okay.
family bowls. We all have one.
Okay, I love that. That's cool. Which city would you rather live in again? Would you rather live in New Jersey or would you choose or I should say state, would you rather live in New Jersey or Louisiana?
New Jersey. Absolutely.
I love it. I love it. Okay. This next one has to do, or next two has to do with desserts and chips. Now, this first one is desserts. Are you a dessert person? Do you like dessert?
I have a huge sweet tooth. Yes.
Okay. Okay, here we go. So we got four choices. You have to eliminate one of these as part of you'll never eat this again. Okay. So here we go. A, cookies. B, cakes. That's all cakes. Bundt cakes, pound cake, whatever cake. C, ice cream. D, pies.
Pies. That was easy.
Oh, okay. All
Okay.
right. Okay, here we go. The next one is chips. Here we go. One of these chips you can never eat again. A, Ruffles. B, Cheetos. C, Doritos. D, Lay's. Which one are you getting rid of?
So Ruffles.
The Ruffles.
I like
Oh,
them.
oh. They got sour cream and cheddar. You don't like sour cream and cheddar Ruffles?
I can get sour cream and onion Lays. I'm good.
Okay. All right. Okay. Okay, sweetheart. We on the opposite ends of the spectrum, like Denver and San Diego again. That's
Yeah,
okay.
no, I'm not a Ruffles girly. Sorry.
That's okay. Listen, you got to go with your tongue. Whatever your tongue like, you got to go with that. So I feel it. All right. That just breaks my heart, though. My goodness, Ruffles, they pretty good. Okay, here we go. Two more of this or that. Which sport would you rather watch on TV? Baseball or hockey?
Hockey.
I like that. Okay. And the last one is another concert question. Which concert would you rather go to? Would you rather go see Rihanna or Beyonce?
Am I paying for the ticket?
There you go. See, why you gotta preface stuff to answer this question?
Beyonce is expensive. Don't get me wrong.
If
I
you
love
could
my
afford
girl.
to go see both of them, which one you choose?
If I could afford to go see both of them, I'm gonna go see Beyonce.
Okay, okay, that's good. You
But if
said
I look at this point, look, I have yet to go see a Beyonce concert. I've watched them all from the comfort of my couch,
okay.
free on YouTube, because I refuse to pay rent money to go see her when I
I
can see her
understand.
for free.
I
Um,
understand. I
I need
totally get that.
I need Miss Knowles Carter to come down on them prices a little
I
bit.
feel it. I feel. Did you like Cowboy Carter? Did you like the album?
No.
Damn, you was very decisive on that. You said no. Okay. Did you like any song on the album?
I do like Riverdance, and I think that's probably my only one.
Actually, she had 27 songs on the album. You said that's the only one? Oh wow. Okay. Well, uh we're gonna continue moving on. You did great on this or that. You did awesome. I love that. My last three questions. This next question is pretty simple. If you wasn't doing sports journalism, what career would you have pursued and why?
I'd probably be running a nonprofit for grade school age girls, like
Mm,
at middle school to high school, senior age. Yeah.
okay. I like that. I like that. Okay. Now, what advice has someone gave you and you hold on dearly to?
Oh gosh, there's so many gems. I gotta pick one.
You pick a couple. Give me a
Uh,
couple.
the first was from my grandmother,
Okay.
and I carry this with me forever. And that is be spatially aware and not socially concerned.
Mm, wow. Ooh. Okay. I felt that. I felt that. Ooh.
Yeah,
That's good. No,
that
that's some good one right there.
was some advice that changed my life for real. And once I finally understood what she meant,
Right.
it just made getting through days lighter
I
because I
totally
wasn't
understand.
I wasn't concerned about other people's thoughts,
Yep.
but I was conscious of myself in spaces. I taught myself to learn my audience,
Hmm.
and you learn how to speak when spoken to. And when it's meant for you to speak up without being spoken to, you trust your discernment on that.
Without
Um,
question.
yeah, so there's that. And then
Mm,
the next would probably be feed your passion, not your pockets.
Who said
Um,
that?
actually, one of my professors said
Okay.
that.
Okay.
Dr. Steffens, she is one of my favorite professors here at Southern. She works in the mass comm department. Love her. She's also a first lady, mind you. When you see her, you will be able to tell that she's first lady. We love her.
Mhm.
We love her so much. But yeah, she said, feed your passions, not your pockets, because your gifts will always make room for you. But if you starve them, you'll be searching for things in places you don't need to be. So feed what seeds are planted in you. Um, yeah.
I like that. Wow. Feed your passion, not your pockets. That is a gem. Your grandmother saying, don't be, say, I don't want to get it wrong. Say that one more time. What your grandmother said.
Be spatially aware and not
Spatially aware and not,
socially concerned.
and not socially concerned. Be spatially aware, not socially concerned. I love that too. Um, I'm at the point in my life where I really have mastered that in my mind. It took me a while to master it. Not even going to lie to you, because I was always really caring about what other people thought, and I really wasn't paying attention to the people that was around me, and making very poor decisions doing that.
Yeah.
As you do when you are younger, you make those poor decisions.
Yeah.
But as you get older into your 30s, you start to understand and realize that, hey, what's important, what's not important, who's important,
Yeah.
and you start to understand that, okay, we got to make better choices, not just for careers, not just with what you do as far as occupation, but in life in general. So I totally understand that. And for your professor to feed your pockets and feed your passion, sorry, and not your pockets, you have to love what you do.
Yeah.
And in this industry, you have to love what you do, because the pockets is not going to come immediately. It's not
No,
going to be fed immediately.
no, you can work to getting it, but
Right,
starting
right.
out,
No. So you have to be able to feed your passion. But I always tell, especially college graduates that are younger, in their 20s, that don't worry about trying to get paid the super amount, because the hard work that you put in, you will eventually get rewarded.
you're gonna get that check. It's coming.
What is coming? But you have to establish why they made the decision to go to you
Yeah,
first, right? Because there's a lot of applicants that want to be picked. So when you are picked and you bless enough where people give you an opportunity, you got to bust through that damn door and be able to
mhm,
let them know why they made the right decision at the
absolutely.
end of the day. So I love those two different advices. What is something that you would like to let people know as we start to wrap this up about you that you haven't talked about yet on the podcast?
Um, I'm ready to work. I'm ready to work. I am ready to create space
Okay.
for athletes, coaches, um, other journalists to tell their stories in a way that they don't normally get to because of agents, PR, bubbles,
Mm,
boxes, however you want to call it.
sure.
Um, but really create a space where those stories that people don't normally get to hear
Hmm.
reach the people that they need to reach. Um, I'm ready to graduate so I can get to work. That's really where I'm at right now at this point in my life. So if you see me and you want to hit me up, follow me, hit me up on LinkedIn. I'm ready to work. Ready to
Love
work.
it. I love it. Yes. Hit her up on LinkedIn. Is there any other social media platforms you want to throw out there that people can get in touch with you?
Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, it's all the same. Well, X, formerly known as Twitter.
Hmm.
It's all the same. I am Ashley Lovelace is
I
my
love it.
Instagram name. So yeah.
Absolutely. And please, for anybody that has a question that I did not ask on this podcast that wants to reach out to her, please hit her up on one of those social media platforms. One of the hardest working people in the industry right now doing her thing is Southern University, no doubt. As I always do, Ashley, I want to say thank you for hopping on my podcast. Girl, we done broke some bread on here. Definitely talked about a lot of different things. We would definitely stay in touch because I feel like we're going to be seeing each other on some sidelines very soon. No question about
Absolutely.
it. As I
Absolutely.
always do, is there anything else you would like to add before we conclude?
Just thank you. Thank you for the opportunity. Congratulations, sir. Keep doing
Thank
what
you.
you do. Keep doing what you do. Um, we need more spaces like this, not the ratchetness when people get on the podcast, Mike. You know what I'm talking about.
I do.
So
I
thank
do.
you. Thank you for doing what you do and doing it well. And thank you for the opportunity. Yeah, I'll see you soon. I'm sure I will.
No doubt. You take care. Enjoy the rest of your Tuesday, and we will be in touch.
Hey, thank you so much.